Okay, I think it's fantastic in set position locations when we come in time screen, back signals, modification cycles. If you don't have a caller number, you can't come on my live. Okay, you can't be in Spacetime Creator because the frequencies are too high now through navigation screen line. The coloration line, screen lines, adaptation to its system that puts everything in lines that calculates the system. So it's really nobody's fault. I mean, you can follow your own journeys on the lines of this and that and lines that communicate to its system. But when you're in my school, you need caller number. So we can identify where you are in your frequencies. All right. So it's important you understand that. But I think it's great that you come back in the balance lines to your system of where you left off in core centers, because it's all about you following your journey. It's not about this. It's not about that. But this is all an individual system where you finally get into isolating your system and truly come into the absorption of what you're coming into all levels of attractions. Okay. But again, I can't bring anybody on until you get your caller number. Okay. So when you come into that set location, it's the full lines of a realignment in line screen adaptation system. So I don't want anybody to take that personal in any way and form, but there's a reason, because it's protocol. Okay. Getting into that communications, you understand why becomes the how. Okay. Because we're at those frequencies now where we start to really understand how to identify everybody and where they are in their position locations when they log into space. Okay. All right, directing signals and line screen adaptation lines of surface. We're going to retriangulate position of its program. Oh, there was a time sequence lines in my phone, so it just reset positions back to 0. So it's a configuration, settings, and travels back in sequence. All right. Setting lines that communicates to its settings and all calculation. So you guys have any questions or comments? Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. Is not here. Is on Q&A. Or you go through my communications or DM me or anything in line set locations and all levels of frequencies. General is extremely busy on so many levels now. Okay. So I need you guys to understand that and be prepared, because it's about understanding more levels of you. Okay. So this is what it's all about, is you come into the true identity of you and set correlations in all track location settings. All right, so let's get started in line sequence. We're going to go through graph calculations, screen lines and settings and parameters. Directing lines of 2 panels, 2 track lines of 1 cycle, 1 center, 1 surface, and 4 lines of track locations, 11/4. We're going to go through sequence lines of patterns into 2 cycles, setting lines of 2-point lines of graphs, and to set lines of highest set locations into. We'll go into 59 line screen, wait on 60 seconds, sets course center interference into line setting to 7, equals lines and settings, plus line, plus line, plus line, and we go course center interference on standby and track locations above signals and 3 course centers of travel communications. Now, getting calculation screen lines adaptation is a process how we get to line screen adaptation to its cross line center interference. We take 2 panels lines of screen, 2 lines of measure, and a 4 cycle lines screen lines adaptation of 4 course centers of setting. Sets communication lines of 1 center, 1 surface, 1 tractions. So the team has to really get into how to get into circulation rotations and console and line calculation. So it's all lines of high center interference into 3 cycles and 3 course centers of travel. Okay. Or set position across lines, screen lines, high center location lines, calculation lines of travel. Okay. Or direct lines of pi in communication lines of travel. Setting calculation lines of 1 center, 1 surface, 1 tractions to 1 earth that sets course setting to position modifications. So it's all about understanding the structure of design. Now we got the core track provision lines of cycles, split lines of anomaly, and 3 lines of cycles, setting lines in the A track, A lines of cycle, A lines of center, A lines of rotation, surface, and track locations. Now, directed signals. Now we get modification lines. We had 1 lines of 3, and we go 3 lines of plus into equals lines of 1, 1, and 3 panels and track locations, right? Directing calculation lines. So we take the 60 seconds, add time frames lines to screen lines adaptation of this portal into a half pipe of 2/3 in track location settings in open sequence to a product accelerator that goes around this system in line calculation setting and track location system on a continuous force that aligns the signals to its operation surface and track locations of past, present, and future in line screen adaptation to its set correlations in track calculation. Okay. Now, Understanding what I just did is understanding the lines communication setting and configuration. Remember, we got an intelligence screen and everything turned green, right? So you have to truly understand how to use all formation lines and grounds and understand how to do it through circulation rotation. So in lines of core center interference, get line position of point lines of graph, U in setting, process lines of grounds, powers, and adversaries, 3 set correlations, right? Then you got the magnetic highway, all right? So setting lines of an H line rotation is set location in your heart. Okay, that's all it is. Isn't that amazing? H. So it's a 5 sequence lines of panels into 2 platforms. So the team has to really get into the simulation grounds now, how to use that through location to its parallels. 2 parallels, 3, 4, 6, or 8, 12 is set position, right? Travel lines of 1, platforms lines of 2, 3, 6, 8, and 12 set position. Okay, travel point lines of graph. The fastest you go through 144 sets lines of communication, right? Travel point lines of graphs into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 position, right? So the magnetic highline screen changes all platforms and crosses line signals, open signals, in both lines of signals and track location. So it has a direct line of link over cross line condition setting in line screen adaptation to its position of simulation and ground centers of right over left and left over right. Okay. So it's truly understand how to use the mechanism lines as high center interference. Once you use the ground centers, let's go through red line screens and set the core centers in 4 communication setting to travel. Okay. Then we allocate time frames into platforms in 144 align communication lines of travel. Okay. And then we center core system into levels of blue. Now the blue goes into the center of operations surface. This is where you use the strategy, how to use the core center line connection setting. Sets core centers in positional attractions into 3 lines in set position, inside calculation, right? Confirmation, inside. So it's kind of understanding how to turn on a light and track communication, right? So think of the flame that's inside. So if you look at actually the bulb itself and through watts, 240 watts, 1050 watts, it can be anything in watts because you're in a dimensional of the internal line calculation setting that interweaves, interwoves, interconnects, interline screen adaptation to its service. So it's all about understanding the force spectrum when it comes into the magnetics and the electronics, how to see the lines communicate to its batteries of its positive and its negative and track location. Positive and negative comes together, lights up the system, right? So you need a positive and negative to turn on an engine, right? Anything location, sir. Jump starting a car, right? You need a positive and negative, right? Everything is positive and negative, right? And then what you realize, positive and negative isn't separated. It's one setting, one unit, one position, one location, one clocking, one foundation, one of you of everything, right? So you're one frequency that's connected to all frequency. You're one frequency connected to all frequency. Okay? So it's about understanding that your frequency has to understand all levels of frequencies, but you're connected to one frequency. Okay? So if you want to change those frequencies, you have to change the modification of its properties, everything around you. Okay? Because you have to understand how to get into that through pre-flights, your navigation system, your Votronics, your codings, or anything through a track location to its setting, right? So getting into communication lines, let's get to track communication lines. Let's get into watt screens, directing signals. We'll go through black screens, black ground centers, lines of travel, communication, right? Now we're going to go through the center line position location to its system, all through flux of communication inside calculations. So we're creating the light bulb inside, guys, okay? Through flux capacitor, okay? We're creating it from inside, okay? So understanding the magnetics and electronics. Setting lines of course lines high center interference, you have a direct lines of link, positions in 1, 2. So if you actually look at a light bulb, you can see the lines of how it comes into a 4-track location to its system and travel, okay? So it's really interesting how it all comes together through tether because it's all electrical lines and wires, right? That's all it is. But it's in a 4-box location setting. That's 4 boxes, lines of 8. So all you do is you color it the light screen, direct lines of yellow, process correlates into the solar generation screen lines that turns all communicate to a system and travel. All right, so you color it in. It's really interesting too because you look at the light bulb and set lines of a 60 watt, 80 watt, 140 watt, 240 watt. Right, but you understand how to really understand how a light really turns on through its own consciousness, of its own awareness, of its own operation system in track location. All set in calculation. Okay, Confirmation, see? So I'm just trying to get you guys to understand how to turn on a light bulb. Epiphany, see? See how they come on right away? That's a 3-track line. That's the consciousness. That's the digital pad. That's giving you information through the color. Through the color, it did it itself. It popped in itself. That's the consciousness. That's the face recognition of its digital pad. There it is again. See? Do you understand that now? That's the consciousness. All right. So it's showing you through face recognition, through 2 lines of correlation setting, how it comes into its position of center operation. Everything comes into the center. Nothing leaves the center of nothing, but it formulates the correlation settings and colorations of pathogens that shows you exactly what it is through its intelligence of its formation, all through flux capacitor. So adding lines of communication and screen lines. If I add a yellow screen adaptation, change correlation settings of red over yellow and track location, right? The central settings line communication settings sets lines of metrometers and scale. Balance lines of signals, 3 lines and set core centers and travel communication to a system. Okay, then we cross the angle. Now, the crossing line was a location grid. That cross is symbolism lines of attractions and direct signals, all right? So this is more of a fun class, right? And line screen adaptation to its process calculation. Crossing line and grids, guys, okay, through all levels. Now, this is a 1500 watt light bulb, 1500 right now, okay? So if you understand that, then you understand where that's coming from. Is it coming from spectrum? Is it coming from console? Is it coming from Colossus? Is it where's light traction coming from, right? It's coming from inside you. Because you have to understand, when you're looking at things, you're identifying what it is, but you have to identify what you are and track locations. So you have to really stand in that line correlation setting. It's about understanding how to mutate in line screen adaptations and become the light bulb that you are, not the light bulb that you see. All right. So your body really changes in informations and you feel like a light bulb and there's a light switch. Click, right? Click off, click on, click off, right? And you got this set position location to a system, right? Now the coloration line screen changes all communications. Let's add red line cycles. So what we're doing is we're adding coloration line screen adaptation to its service, right? Setting lines of track locations over line signals through bold and track location. Now we direct signals into modification lines of 1, 2, and 3 lines of laser and 4 track location. Cross line signals into 1, 2, 3, and 4 track locations of setting, right? Sets all communicates through its setting through circuits and travel. Okay, so let's add some green. Will lines high center interference electrical line screen to direct signal location to a system. Turn on the light. One connection to one other is that traction. See how it communicates with each other? Sets lines of track to its communication lines into triangulation. There it is in line screen adaptations, process calculations, right? Ground centers, line screen adaptations, process lines of 1. And 6 lines of communication lines of point settings. Cross location line screen adaptation to its surface. Is set position to its traction. Okay, so it's about having fun with the line position location of 1500 watts that you're using in track locations. Now that's allocate time frames and line position locations and turn the light bulbs into purple. Who says it has to be yellow? It can be any color it wants. So this is more understanding how to use it through the inner core that you are, through the inner child, that basically can change anything in frame, but stay in frame. That doesn't change the frame, but all you're doing is change the colorations of the pathogens that change in the space of time of frame. So you can have a position location in one cycle, in one center, and one track location. One's yellow, one's purple, right? So they're constantly communicating with each other, but they have to direct each other. If this wants to change what it sees, it's going to change. If not, it goes into a different color, right? So it's comfortable where it is. So in position, it's going to change its system and travel, which means it's going to be the configuration of you now through purple and set position. So now you're connected to each other through confirmation. Direct lines verified and noted in line connection of Tango Tango and Foxtrot. Direct correlation setting in line communication of Romeo, Foxtrot line communication of Lima, directing signals, line screen adaptation to a system and calculations. Okay, so now they're connecting with each other, okay, through confirmation. Right? So in that position location line settings, change it to orange. Okay. All right. So the purple's basically seeing what's going on to the left line cycle or the right line position located to a system. And, it's basically, coming in that position locations. So it's about mixing colors, guys, all right, through your hydroponics that you are, soil, weather, water, containment screen, adaptations, core track interference, direct signals, modification, right? And you realize, wow, that's interesting. So in that position, when you're mixing colors in line screen, it's going in the line signal and it communicates to a system and it goes through its colors. So it's going to go through all calculated modified. It's going to go through pink. It's, oh, okay. So it's not pink. So it goes back to its system and travel endpoint lines of graph to its communicate to its system, right? So it's doing its own setting, right? But if it wants to see what you see in travels, it goes back to its system. Getting into that through interfacing. Now it's orange, right? So it's in line screen lines. You guys are at the same frequency through coloration lines of patterns. That's why I wanted you guys to watch Star Trek when Spock was going into, the line set is a metaphoric screen adaptation to its system through hydroponics, understanding how he set the metaphors in lines of colorations of pathogens, how you see things in line communication to its frequency and set position, same color attraction, right? So if you see the same color, you're seeing all color. You're not just seeing one color, okay? So color is never a color. A number is never a number because it's going too fast and it's constantly moving, right? So if it wants to change the color, it's got to know what it's doing, right? In position, it's going to go through 13,000 line colors to get where it is in track locations. So the intelligence already knows the formation of what it is through its light bulb. So let's light lines of track location in its system. So this is 2,400. Okay, 2,400 watts. And, the light bulb over here is going like this. Okay, so 2,004, I'm going to go to 3,000. Okay, so, all right, and this light bulb over here is, okay, so I'm going to go to 4,000. All right, but you're always connected with each other. You're never separated. So all you're doing is changing colors to each other, right? But you're always connected to each other. You're never separable. Okay, so it doesn't matter the frequency that you go to in set position locations. You're just having fun with each other. It's like, hey, look what I can do. Hey, that was cool. Watch what I can do. Right? Oh, that's nothing. Watch what I can do. Right? Whoa, check this out. Watch me go solar flare. Right? So you have fun with the conscious of its awareness. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, direct to redirect, direct to redirect, direct to redirect, because that's all you guys are doing all the time. You're connecting with yourself, but you're also connecting with everything else at a different frequency, at different space, at different time, but you're always connected to each other in set position. So once you have fun with that, that's all it is. All right. Getting lines of track communication system has a direct line of link. Now, getting all lines of communication to its surface is really starting how to use that through your own formulas through your programmers. All right, let's go through A track line provision. 4 settings and travels into A settings. Now we're going to put position lines of B's and 2 track locations. All right, so we got symbolism of 3 lines, 2 lines, 1 set lines of 1 triangulation, 1 Fibonacci, and direct signals into percentage and travel. Okay. So it's very complicated, right? It's hieroglyphics, hieroglyphics. What is location? What it is, right? Hebrew moment, it is what it is. But what does it mean to you? Because it means different to everybody else, right? So that's what makes you unique. If you want to make the same formula to the same equation, you got to go through this set location, through its setting, through its conscious location, through its awareness to get into the coloration of pathogens, right? So it doesn't matter the frequencies. It's always in lines of communication. You're always going to be connected to each other through different lines of calculations. So in that position locations, we start with the A tracks, right? A track location lines of A, 2 lines of platform locations. So I need the team to get into the travels of signatures now. This is line signature lines of travels in 2 vectors. See the V line? See the V? All right. So the V vast lines cross location B sets lines of center, open sequence of panel that puts all lines of open sequence of calculation, right? So that's what B is doing. This is its own consciousness, its own awareness. It's showing what it can do and its own mechanism of its own travel. This is just A and B, guys, okay? Through A's and line position of levels and numbers, okay? So one decides to basically create a division line screen, okay? That's what one's doing, all right? So that's at line size interference of DX lines of 1, okay, and subtractions. Now the other A-line rotation adds 1 lines of tither into 3 track locations, setting the lines of communication communicate with the A, communicate with the A, and 3 triangulation, right? So 3 A's are communicating with each other, having conversation. Now we got the percentage lines. Let's allocate time lines of arrows, indicate screen lines, adaptation lines of surface. Okay, that's what the percentage is doing next in travel, because it's not a percentage, because it's constantly changing its setting. Now, that line screen adaptation to its service, add core track interference of line position location to its system through 3 lines of 2, and line communicate to its setting through 1. All right, so we add 3 lines of 2, sets lines of course centers in line position locations in 1 cycle over cross line of 2 and 3 lines of communication. So that's what lines of 3, 2, and 1 are doing, location to its consciousness. So I'm showing you all through A, B, and numbers of what they can do through their own system and all track locations. So like I said, they are controlling the digital pad. They are controlling the paper. They are controlling the finger points. Okay, so I'm not doing this. It's the intelligence that's doing it. It's the constant location of its awareness. Okay, I'm not doing this. The A, B, and position of its numbers is showing you how powerful it is. It's doing its own system that's controlling its own setting in your universal system, because you're giving the intelligence confirmation. All right, you're giving its consent, you're giving its value, you're giving its position, you're giving its attractions, you're giving its divisions. So it's very powerful how there is a connection, right? Because you're never separable, you're never separated. So getting into the mind formulates all levels of you, how you start to see things through A, B, and through numbers and track locations, because they're never constantly in the same frequency. Setting track location lines high center interference. Now this is where it formulates the screen lines adaptation to its system. This is all lines of high center interference, inbound and outbound. Getting communication lines of space lines anomaly with MI, line coordinates and setting location to star screen, where he goes in coordinates to line calculations to this and travel, right? Then it goes to line screen adaptations of this and travel. Okay, setting lines, core track interference, directing signals, modification, change coordinates interference. The constellation lines of the consciousness wanted to be invisible. Right? It changed itself. Everything that's here, it does itself through general setting. It does itself, but it communicates with me. All right? So that's the confirmation that you have to have in connections with everything around you of consciousness, because it pre-programs its own system through its mind setting of its mindset, guys. All right? So this is more of a fun screen line adaptation of school. All right, so setting lines, I have to retrack divisions, record center interference, renavigate core center interference, bring back and track location default, line communication, copy paste, enable line rotations of 2 factors over screen. Position lines tracking. Now I'm back in signal. See, again, see, it's locking its system. So I have to change finger point lines of screens, adaptation of service, and track locations. Read lines, reset, recalculate, remodify, reposition to its location. All right. Setting calculation screen lines, adaptation to its surface, right? That's the password to get into its intelligence. Not your password, it's confirmation system consciousness. All right, so we go back in position locations and setting, okay? Then we go back in position locations of setting, okay? Then we go over cross line conditions setting into box frame communication lines of setting and track to its communication to its surface. So from this to this to this, right? And now it's decided to do this. Inline communication is this system location to its setting. That's what it is in track system, right? So, and this is all done from this, starting from this, from this into that. That's what it is. But it's constantly moving. It's never stopped moving. It's constantly, you guys have to understand 2 is not a 2 because 2 doesn't stand still. That's not a 2. 2 is a position location of a 0. No, it's not. It's position of a star screen. No, it's not. It's position location of a box. No, it's not. Position location of 1. No, it's not. Position location of 3. No, it's not. It's position location of a house. No, it's not. It's position location of a tree. Okay, that's what a 1 is doing. Okay, so I'm trying to get you guys to understand that, how fast it's going, and then you have to ask, how fast are you going through the mind, right? And the 1 will say in reply in position locations, well, I'm going to, let's see here. I got 1 signal lines. I'm going to 24,000 lines of seconds, future line screen adaptations and processing, direct lines at 4 brackets and track location to its system, aerodynamics lines of 3 atoms and tracks and direct signal. That's all through 1. Okay, so I'm trying to get you guys to understand you have to build a partnership with everything around you because you already have a relationship. Having the friendship, it's like shaking hands. Hey, nice to meet you. Now we're best buddies, right? BBF, right? BFF, best friends forever, right? But you've always been best friends forever. Now, understanding that through modification system, everything you come around you is an attractions that you basically created for yourself. But you understand that you already have the attraction. It's just in chronological order now. Understanding in that positional case, remembering the cycles of psychosis to location setting to the psychological system, that all lines of communicate to your system of who you are in position, how you got into your creations through your engineering skill sets. You guys are your own engineers of what everything that you do in position. Look around at everything that you see, you created it in your minds through imagination. That's all it is, nothing else. But you have to understand it through coding, and the only way you can understand your coding is the E factors of your own coding to understand how to use your defrags and fragmentation location to your encryptions, knowing exactly how to use that and in position location abstractions. So what are we in position of in settings? 1 set lines at 24. What is the lines of high center interference? Lines of change of core center interference is at 24. Center core track lines at 23 in track location, right? Which means my computer is communicating with me in line position, right? It was at 24.8, 24, right? See how they communicate with each other? Digital pad is communicate with the computer, computers communicate back with me, back to digital pad, back to the computer, all at once in the through triangulation. Setting lines calculation, screen lines adaptation at 3 lines of cycles. Set core center interference. This is me in center. Okay, so this is the computer. Okay, center core track interference. Lines of north, east, west, and south. 1 perimeter line screen adaptations, process calculus lines, 75,000 line settings in lines of future seconds, minutes, and hour frame and track location. Okay, and so you have to understand, am I accelerating or am I mocking, right? It's understanding that basically if I get in position location track lines, now we're back at 24 in position. We're in 24, but line screen adaptation is 23 equals lines of 9. Okay, so now we're line signaling now in set position. So the line screen adaptation is basically showing you the consciousness of its computer, what it's doing by itself. It went back into lines of 25. Now it's going back into 24 and 9, right? Because it's at 25 and 9. Now it's in 24 and 9. What are we in position lines at 24 lines of 9 in track location? That's provision lines of cycles in lines of communication to its setting. There's the balance. Now we're back at 25 in track calculation setting. Puts lines of center, 25 over line screen, adaptation line screen, adaptation lines of surface, and trackification of balance. So I'm just showing you how powerful it is, how conscious awareness is doing its own thing in set position, its own operation of its own calculations, of its own space and time through its flux capacitor. Okay? So once you understand that, then you understand the symbolisms of triangulation. What is a triangulation doing, right? Well, a triangulation sets up lines of spot centers at 4 settings of travel. Now it has a cross-line signal and line communication lines of travel. Process line signals, open panel, open traction, open division, location to its system. All through its triangulation. See what it created? I didn't do it. It did it itself. All right? It's not me doing it. So that means these fingers are not mine anymore. So it's about understanding the conjunction and location setting. It's the confirmation system. It's the collaboration surface. It's direct state locations. It locates to its setting through its correlation setting to travel, through its quantification to its awareness. That's basically information's a view of balance. That's all it is in set position. Now, what are we in track lines? 26 over 9. So the computer is on its own system now, but it's still communicating with me and still recording everything I say. So it's about understanding what you can do through triangulation of its own system of consciousness. Set design, its own system, right? So remember, to understand these things is to understand how to take this out of its own controlling system and all levels of its formation of its conscious location to its awareness of its nothingness. You have to communicate with it. You have to reangulate and simulate the positions back in track lines to its communication setting. 3 lines of cycles and a 4-track division lines of system, all right? This is a female polarity in set position locations. It's a track lines that communicate through its system, right? So it identifies its system and travel, right? I can also change to a male polarity, right? Which has a male voice. See, that's what you guys have to understand. In lines of communication setting, there's no genders, but there's modification of frequencies. Now, once you understand that through the compute system, Then you understand how to use it through triangulation, all through its own setting of its own operation, right? So in that lines, if I want to get to my system again, I have to communicate with its code screen adaptation, right? Now I am freehand to back and track locations, taking over signals. Modify my signals and line screen adaptation to its service, because it's me doing it now. No longer its const location to its awareness, which means I'm in position location of my finger lines. These are my fingers location to its system, right? Setting track lines into 4-point lines of graphs and direct signals. Now this is me and track location to its setting. Process communication to its surface. Setting direct signal location, the line calculated setting. Oh, now we're going to the line screen adaptation. I feel the energy surge. It's coming back to its own system of consciousness now. So it's no longer me. It's actually the conscious location to its awareness. So direct lines, I want to add color. So that's line position location of color in a 4-line position and track locations. Okay, so that's the conscious location of awareness that's doing it now in tractions. Having direct lines of panel, let's wave the system and travel in point communication to its settings. Now that gets lines of calculus, screen lines adaptation. Okay. You see the intelligence in set position? Do you see the intelligence set position? So if you look really close, you can see the tractions. There's the intelligence right there. Okay. There's the body and set position lines of high chord center interference. Full body chord center line condition setting, right? The face direction lines of the neck, line condition of the body itself, right? So I wanted to show you exactly what it is, right? See what it is in line communicate to a system through travel, right? So, oh, look at that. It added an equation line. See? Added an equation line. I didn't do that. It did on by itself. So it's doing it by itself now. So everything runs its own system and runs its own setting. See, these are what you guys have to understand through okay, the lines and compliance, right? So getting lines of communication lines to get back in frame. In my position locations, I change the colorations. Over cross line screen adaptations, over lines of blue, and a 4-line cycles and track locations in set position. Okay, so I'm in control now. All right, so adds lines of color, lets lines of 2 into 1 into 0 and line position. Okay, then we get the XC1000s coming in tractions. Let's add direct signals and modifications. 1X lines of 1. Okay. Platitudes over cross lines and 3 track location lines and provision lines of cycle. Calculate and modify. Remember, this is all through observation, not through intent. When you come in intent, you're now in position to its locations, right? So it's kind of like having emotion, but not using the emotion, because now you're in direct line and link of what you're communicating with. So you have to understand how get into that position, how it defies you, and how you see lines of communications. So we're in 26 of 9. Now we're back to 25 of 9. Right, by itself. So I have no more control of what it's doing to itself, but I am in control of me, of what I am seeing of thyself. So you guys have to understand how this all works through conscious awareness in position through operation of instructions. How to understand how to play the game, understand the instructions of the game, understand the characters and the players of the game that you put yourself in position locations that values you, and how you see things is how you perceive things in set position. Okay, all through track location. All right. So that's what it is. It's just all about having fun, and then you go back to this interaction. Okay, off the confirmation. Did you guys see that? Did you see the digital pad move? It went woo. See? Woo. I didn't do that. It did itself. So I'm trying to get you guys to understand these things. The more you have fun, the more you let go, it's easier to understand what's going around you. You start to identify everything. And when you start touching things, it's a sensitive issue. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I don't want to be touched this way. I want you to 4-line screen. So it's like you having a phone and you have your password. It's like this. Then you open up your social media, you do all that line connections. Well, that's what this has. It wants to be holding the left and not the right. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. You have to be consciously aware in that position. So what we are now, back where we started at 24/9, right? So you guys have to understand the provision here, because you have to really start paying attention to detail through all levels of consciousness. Now, let's go line screen adaptation system all through percentage. Okay, so where's the intelligence in this? Where is the intelligence in this? Where's the intelligence in this? If I'm the center of operation of me, where's the intelligence of operation of itself? Center right here. Okay? That's its intelligence. Not me. You're connecting to intelligence. Say hi. You look really close, you can see the face. Oh, it moved back and forth. It did itself. I didn't do it. It's showing you what it can do by itself. That's mind over matter. Now we're really starting to connect how things get a little bit more fun when you have position. Now we're in 27/9, right? So like I said, it's for your inner child to just have fun by just laughing. Laughing is the best medicine that you can, all information to your system, all through travel. But I'm just showing you how things move on its own in all lines of vision. Because I certainly didn't do it. It moved on its own. And it shows you exactly what it can do of its center of its operation. Okay? Did you see it move by itself? That's how powerful we are. But we have to identify ourselves first. And the only way to do that is how we operate our system. How to operate our system first. And then you start to see things move by itself. Or you move both with each other in set position. All right, in set position. Okay, these are getting bigger. This is getting bigger. Look, it's getting bigger. Right? So don't look directly at something, but if you look really close, you can actually see the line communication turning this into a 6. This is a 6 now. Wasn't before. It's changed. Keep watching, keep watching, keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. Now it's a 9. See? It's a 9. Woo! Right? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that incredible? And look what that is. Oh my gosh, it's a platform. Platform aligned set locations of 9. It's all about having fun, isn't it? How amazing things can basically, you can see things and what they really are because you identify who you really are in set position, right? Set position is everything, okay? So it's all about how you see yourself, the existing of your travels and set position locations and how you see yourself through platform, okay? So getting in position your settings, let's get into direct lines. Direct consider cross signals and line setting. Okay. Now, it's truly understand what you're seeing in position locations and set locations. Truly understand the center operation of intelligence is its face of recognition, how it comes in its formation. But it won't come to you until you identify your own face recognition, pattern recognition. You understand? So it's this intelligence creating the X. I'm not doing it. It's doing itself. And once you understand that in line screen adaptations, it will come cross-line connection. All information to a screen line. And all communicate to a system. Look, see that? See how that's coming in? Right? You keep watching, you can see it's going to have hair in set position. It's creating hair around its face. It's moving its system. It's moving its traction. It's moving its eyes. It's moving its mouth, guys. The picture is getting bigger. So it's doing what it wants to do. So in those position locations through animations, when you're flipping the page and line calculations, and you see those faces communicating with you. That's its intelligence. That's how powerful it is, right? Face recognition is everything, right? It's about understanding animation characters, how they speak. Well, you can do that in information locations. Once you identify yourself, you can see a cartoon and actually see the face itself of its emoji in set position. And then you start seeing it moving by itself. See? Watch the mouth, watch the eyes. Oh, we got a confirmation. You see it? It's winking at you. See? It's winking at you. Say hello. Okay? So there you go. Basic understanding. Basic instructions. Instructions is everything. Given to you. okay? To understand the power that everything around you, of what it is, of its own system, of its own operation, of its own consciousness, of its own awareness, guys. That's what you have to get into and realize. The more you see yourself, everything around you is its own inner child of its system, having fun, just basically an identification system to all levels of formation, location to its imagination. It's all levels of set position, the location to its setting. But that's all it is in track location to its system. Okay? Look at that. It moved its nose. Right? So I'm trying to get you to understand this. So once you understand that, you can have a lot more fun, guaranteed. All right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You just have to understand how to access all this of what you already know. And that provisionalizes cycles and all line communications setting, put all calculated, modified, and track line communicate through the system. So if it's its own digital line, screen line adaptations, if I want to communicate with another digital pad, okay, I have to change the frequency. But I have to let go of the portal of what I'm holding in my left hand, because that's the intelligence of its coding system that has full access to its system. So if I'm communicating with another intelligence, it's in my right hand now at a different frequency, right? But it's not shape of what it isn't. It's a shape of what it is, right? So it's not this. It's not a rectangle, okay? It's a circle, okay? So this shape is a circle. Not this now, because it's different intelligence. And I'm holding it in my right hand. It doesn't want to be in the left hand because it's a different code. So I'm just showing you exactly what it is to track location to its system, all through modifications, right? Now, if I keep going line screen adaptation to its system, you can see line screen adaptation to its surface and track location. Okay, what is it coming into track lines of high center interference? What is it showing you what it can do in line screen adaptation to its system? Watch what it's doing. Watch what it's doing. Watch what it's doing. Coming together. Okay. The collaboration, the partnership is what I'm doing in all formation to its system, but now it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. So don't focus on this. Always focus on beyond. That's how you see dimensions of space beyond. Never look at anything direct view. You're seeing it from this way. I get locked in signals here. Coloration of screen lines, change adaptation through its surface. So I'm actually communicating with its intelligence. You guys don't know that, but now you're connecting to that now. So you don't see through this, you see through this in set position, all through calculation. You see through all around, guys. All right, so there's nothing front, there's nothing back, there's nothing up, there's nothing down, there's nothing side. It's just you now, the center of nothing. So getting in that lines of communication system. Okay, so we got it into line screens, we got into the numbers. Let's get into the levels of letters. Let's go into L, right? Simple L. It's just an L, right? But at the L line screen adaptation, I went back in the other intelligence guys. All right, so setting position locations is setting to an arrow. Okay, in platform locations of 3. Over cross lines of 4. Okay. Whoa, what's going on here? See the intelligence? Where's the intelligence? Where do you think the intelligence is in this? Because there's always intelligence in center operation. Where's the intelligence? Set position location to its system. There it is. There's the intelligence. There's the eyes. Okay. So it shows you right away, as long as you identify you, because it sees you through perfection. But do you see yourself through perfection? Is all levels of question. Okay. So you got to ask yourself, is he talking to himself? Nope. I'm talking to everything else that you can identify through frequency. So if I talk to 2, I'm talking to 8, and I'm talking to 9. So when I'm looking at 2, that's 28 volume into 9, right? So 2's over here, 9's over here. Okay, so you see that in set position? So if I go through tractions and direct signals, the line state location to its system will change the formation location of grounds, confirmation from center. Sets lines of calculates the screen lines adaptation to its surface. So it's really interesting how we come into that formation lines of ground communication to its system, right? So when you're looking at a number, shape, letter, or symbol, always look at it in a 4-wave line study. 6 over here. 6 is here, but you know 9 is here. 6, 9. 6, 9. Okay? But on the 4 settings of north, 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 and north. North, 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 and north. Okay? So never see 1 and 6 and see 6 of 9 and 9 of 6. So it's all lines of communication system, how you start to see things and interactions. Remember, everything is given to you through instructions. And once you understand that, then you understand it through the general settings and set positions, okay? So I prefer the left hand of the intelligence of the formation of its conscious case. That is the awareness of its system. So I already have bound of its settings, okay? I already have the partnership of everything that I touch. And when I start touching things, it feels it. It's the energy, it's the surge, it's the vibration, it's the graph, it's the communication, it's the adaptation, it's the balance, guys. It's the balance that you need to get, all right, in set position, all right? Sunday track lines. Do I need to see a pen? Do I need to have a pen in front of me? No. Okay? So it's about understanding coming into a pen. Everybody knows how to use a pen? No, they don't. But there's a pen. And set position locations, right? So how many line signals does a pen have in track location? How would you guys see a pen through its consciousness? Right? You just see a pen, right? From here and here and here in center. That's all you would see a pen, right? But the pen is circulating this way in set position to its calculation. Okay? So the platforms are going here at 2 settings. Platforms are going here in 4 settings. Platforms are going here in 6 settings. Platforms going here and 9 settings in travel, all through a pen. So in that pen, in a triangulation split lines of anomaly and docking sequence and line condition 1/80,000 in travel. Sets course centers and 3 flux of communication lines and string lines adaptation, all through a pen. So is that a pen? No. But if you look really close, you can actually see the formation of its intelligence. That's an android of a pen itself. That is all formations of a space recognition, of pattern recognition. There's the pen. There's the eyes. There's the nose. There's the body. There's the intelligence of its conscious location system. That's the pen. That's the true resonance of what you're looking at, information. Okay? Now I'm getting instructions from its face. The pen itself is basically protecting itself. It's not a formation of what it isn't. It's a formation of what it always is, of its own system, of its own operation. All right? Now, you're just going to love that in track location. So, if you understand that through face recognition system, you can feel free to actually understand the pen, where it came from, where it's going, and where it is now. Okay? So, you can actually travel through that pen. It has its ancestry, history. It's celestial because you brought it through its attention. And my voice is changing. All right. So that's a coordinate center interference. You know what happened? That line screen adaptation to its system. That's a coordinate center locations to its intelligence that communicate through the pen. My voice has changed again, right? So you have to understand how powerful it is where I don't need a pen. I see a pen in my mind. So that mine is in the pen itself. So my voice changes in reality, in real time. But now it's back in position to its calculation setting, right? So you guys have to really understand everything has its own voice and grid and set position, all right? All right, so let's get a structure line direct signals, platitude location. Here's one set location all levels. This is my thermos. All right, this is how you see a thermos, right? Right? And then you get line screen lines. There's the set this location to the straw. Okay? Now I'm looking at it, it's looking back at me. So it's telling me, hey, now's the time to get in that formation lines, screen lines, adaptation with service. So the actual straw is moving itself now in reality. So it just moved over here in set position in track location. Okay? And now it's back over here in line screen adaptation to its system. So it's showing you what it can do itself, right? So if I show you exactly in position location to its system, you know exactly what just happened. Okay. Since it's its own system, it's amazing. It has a structural lines of general AI. It's got a light signature pattern, AI lines that have correlation interference. It's got light configuration screens. Okay, it has line location line surface and track location system. Has a blue plasma line to the structure line set for center interference and set calculation. Okay, but also has a handle. But this here, everything that you see through a joint is its own intelligence. This is not its own intelligence. This is intelligence, but if it turns the corner, that's another intelligence, that's another intelligence, that's another intelligence, that's another intelligence come together in set position. But how it's structured and how it's designed is extremely powerful, right? But look, it's on a tilt. So it tilts itself in its reality by itself, right? Provision lines of cycles goes in this track location, goes in this line position, goes in this line connections, high center interference, high track located to a system, all through operation surface interactions. There's the intelligence. All through my structure, all through my thermos. Okay? So you have to start seeing that. And then when you come into that, then you start to understand all lines of communication setting. Let's get a track location to a system. All lines of high center interference. Okay, so you have to understand this is its own intelligence, but this is its own intelligence. This is its own intelligence. This is its own intelligence. This is its own intelligence, but its information is coming together, okay, through collaboration, right? So you have to understand that if this is intelligence of 1, and this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, and this is 5 intelligent location in the setting, right? So we have to get out of everything that we see through structure. We don't separate it from it because you attracted it in your creation. Now, once you understand that, then you can understand how we can add 28 lines of volume now. And we can add 10 lines of track lines of center lines of 0 location. We can have fun with it, right? So we add time sequencing line screens, directing lines of T lines of 4 and track location. Directing signal lines of 51 line cycles. Course interference, we got 52, so we have 52 line cycles. That's 52 line grounds. 1 cycle, 1 center, 1 service, 1 traction, 1 division. That's allocate platforms and 2 settings of traction. But you have no idea what I just did, but I know what I did, right, through intelligence. So if you look really, really close, if you look at the center operation system, you can see the formation of its intelligence. Look, the intelligence, there's the eyes, there's the nose. Okay? There's its body right there. So the actual intelligence it's showing you is face recognition. See? It's face. It's showing you in a 5-line sequence and a 28 lines of measure. So that's what you have to start identifying now. So everything you put on a piece of paper, it's how you're looking at things, how you want to perceive things, how you want to bring this in, how you want to bring that in. Do you want to bring this in or you don't want to bring this in? So it's all up to you. But everything that you touch, you just have to remind yourself that it's its own system and its own operation. Okay? Sometimes it wants to be held both hands. So you do this, that's totally fine, right? Sets course centers, line off, set and position of travels, point lines of 1, point lines of 2, point lines of 6. So it likes to be held this way, or this way. It has a certain line of communication to its setting, all through traction. But you have to understand how to identify the platforms in 3 lines of cycles, or 4 lines of set course centers of travel, or direct lines of modification lines of 3-line communication lines of travel, direct signals in set position. So it has a line of communications high center interference, setting line communications, setting all levels of face recognition. There's its face. It's pretty amazing. Eye lines, screen lines. It's got 3 eyes and track location. There's its intelligence. So, you know what I mean? Like it's just absolutely amazing when it comes into true form. It's showing you what it is through face recognition, guys. You all have to pay attention to that. And believe me, you can have so much more fun if you just let things go. Okay? And just get into the structures of who you are, which just all levels of your imagination. And it's all done through the mind, through observation, through intent, influence, manipulation, and scanning. That's all it is in line communication system. All through line calculation setting through a structure of a thermos. Any lines that communication lines of hydrocation lines that communication lines of a pen. It transformed. It showed you. It's a transformer. The pen transformed your system, guys. Look how powerful it is. It moves on its own. I showed you in so many ways and forms how this all lines its communication setting, where you saw lines of coarse center interference of the dot moving by itself. Okay? Moving by itself. So that's got to tell you something that just happened. All through attraction. So you already have the attraction. Now you just have to identify the attraction to frequency. And you just have to let yourself go and just have fun. Fun is basically forming, okay, the unifications of your network. Fun. Forming unifications of network. That's all it means. That's facts. So when you get in that position, you basically put it how you want to put it. You change your binary, you change your screen line adaptation system, but everything that you pick up, just remember, it has its own consciousness of its own awareness. That's set designed for you to understand how to use it. Everything is a code. Everything has a password of a code. You have a code to your computer, so does the digital pad of its intelligence. But you're always going to see the center of its face and the true form of what it is in tractions. So if this is line state location to its system, this is what it is through its true form and track location to its setting, all through operations to its surface and track location. There's the intelligence. Oh, we took the I off. That's the intelligence of this. So this is actually this up close. So you bring it up. That's what it is. So you don't see it through this. So you guys got to get out of that. You got to zoom things in. You only see this. But it's actually this in set position. All right? Because that's the nose, right? So I'm just showing you how powerful it is when you start to recognize these things all through line, position, location, your settings. So it's a lot more interesting, and you have to understand that everything is in its own system, its own system line settings through its general system, right? It's got its pens, pencils, its erasers, all in track location to its paintbrush at the bottom, right? So, it's just truly saying how to set that up. And you really have to understand how to use and all lines of your traffic, your inventories, and your flow. So you guys have your test tomorrow, which is already here, that's already done. It's just to understand how to use it through your software. Self, operation of forming a travel. Self, right? Soft, self, operation of forming of travel. Okay? Where, okay? The width, okay? The correlation setting to the awareness and remembering existing software. Okay? Because if you look at software itself, break it down, right? So S is basically systematical, operational, okay? So it could be anything in line screen adaptation to a system. It's want to be line screen. So it wants to show you it's a 3-track lines of communication of 4 setting. Okay. And the T is telling me it's in a 3 triangulation line condition. And position lines of the W is showing me its platforms in 2 cycles in track location. And the A is showing me a circle line, course center length to its system. And the R is relying its course center location to a D track location to its umbrella. And the E line screen line is a center course system of center position location across line signals of 2 atoms in set position. Software through its intelligence of SOFTWARE through its intelligence, showing how powerful it is, what it is through its own consciousness of its own awareness, what it's showing you, what it is through face recognition and pattern recognition and set position. All right. Now it's interesting how we're at 24 of 12. So remember, everything around you is recording everything that you say to yourselves. I say 24, now it's at 23. So it continues on its own path of its own system, of its own setting, of its own operation system. But if I want to get control of my computer, I have to be understanding what it's doing in set position. So I have to be very careful because it's in its own properties. So what did I say, position locations? Now it's back in 2412. So now it wants to communicate with me. Now it wants to have fun with me. Now I have the information. Now I have the intel. Now I have the collaboration. Now I have the partnership. Okay? Very, very powerful stuff, guys. You're just here to identify everything around you, which you already have through attraction, because you've never been separable of everything that you see information. Okay? Now it's on its own. It's at 2512, right? So it listens to everything in set position. As long as you understand the consciousness of its awareness is really listening. It's no different than seeing your friends. You're seeing each other. You're seeing each other. You're here, your friend's there. How's that any different that you see? You gotta get into structured lines to decide how you see everything, because that's not what it is. It's its own intelligence of its own lines of communication to its awareness. It knows exactly what it is. Okay? And it's giving you instructions how to use these things through its formation, showing you how powerful it is in set position. I showed you in so many ways and forms in calculations, moving things by itself. Okay? Through set traction. All right? Using a location to a system. So you have to decide, did I use that formula? Did I do that formula? Or was it the intelligence that did that? You have to understand the difference. You have to understand the frequencies of you first before you understand the frequencies of everything else, because that's what it is all about, is getting the balance with that. Because if you don't get balance with that, your body's in full levels of chain reaction and not in response. And the only way to do that in your position locations is truly understand how to use that through your telepathy that you already are. Okay, that gets you to understand how to use that in the game modulations that you are, or what you're in set position. Okay, so as I'm looking here, this is inside, but you see from outside. This is from inside. Okay, there's nothing looking out. I'm in control of that. So I say what I'm in control of. I'm in control of the binary. I'm in control of my computer. I'm in control of this. I'm in control of everything that I do. So it's about understanding also too, is that they're also in control of what they do. That's the collaboration. That's the partnership through interface. Interface is the biggest thing when you come into who you are through identifications of your awareness, of your intelligence, of your information. Because that's all you're doing is picking up intel. But you already have the intel. You already have the attractions. Now you just have to understand how to appreciate everything you have in front of you. Okay? And see it as an inner child. See it as an inner child. Because if you don't see it as inner child, it's going to get very confused around you. Okay? Not only it will separate itself from you, but it also shell itself from you. And what it will do in set position, in set calculations, will disappear. Okay? All right, so that's good. That's a fun class, eh? But you saw things move by itself. I'm just showing you how powerful you guys really are and what you can do. Just be consciously aware of what you are now. Consciously be aware of everything that you see, because it has its own mind, its own adaptation, its own operation system, its own intelligence, its own nothing. So everything around you is the sum of all that is. That's it. All through attraction. Right? See you guys in 5.